The National Assembly on Tuesday successfully passed a number of bills that will significantly contribute to the advancement of various sectors. The Nurses and Midwives Bill 2022, which makes provision for the registration and regulation of nurses, midwives, and nursing assistants, was among the legislations passed. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Senior Counsel Mohabir Anil Nandlal, said the bill is relevant, especially since the Nurses and Midwives Act of 2019 has absolutely no effect.
21st of December 2018. I hear the utterance greed for power. But Mr. Speaker, let me again put on the record that the Constitution of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana allows for a no confidence motion to be moved against an incompetent and efficient government, and one was moved and passed. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, we are here today with this bill. This bill seeks we have to put a repeal clause in it for the record, because the current defective bill purports to be, on its face, a law of Guyana.
The new legislation, among other things, seeks to establish the Nurses and Midwives Council, thereby setting out the functions and powers of the body, allowing it to appoint committees. The bill sets out the application process for licensing and states clearly that the issuance of a license may be refused and a valid license may be revoked or suspended. The House also passed the Ministry of Housing and Water's Condominium Bill, which seeks to ensure a structured and clear policy framework to guide the ownership and management of townhouses and condominiums. Described as a modern piece of legislation, the Condominium Bill No. 4 of 2022 makes provision for the horizontal and vertical subdivision of land and buildings into units for individual ownership, and the use and management of condominiums and matters connected to it.
Unregistration of a condominium constitutes immovable property and can be conveyed, leased, mortgaged, or disposed of as immovable property under both the Deeds Registry Act as well as the Land Registry Act, referred to Section 19. Owners of units will be issued with separate titles for each unit. A transport shall be registered in the Deeds Registry, and a certificate of title shall be registered in the Land Registry. I refer here to Section 20.
Speaking on the landmark passage of the Condominium Bill, Prime Minister Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips said that the legislation will serve as a form of rescue for a number of Guyanese.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to give my full support to the Condominium Bill, which our government has seen the need to prioritize and address urgently in order to bring yet another form of relief to our people. In this case, the 47 house owners who's been so adversely affected by the inactivity of the previous government.
Adding her voice to the debate, Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, Susan Rodriguez, said the bill does more than just updating the legislation to facilitate investment in condominiums. Meanwhile, business owners are no longer required to affix revenue stamps to receipts for retail purchases following the passage of the tax amendment bill.
And as we all know, this requirement of affixing on paper receipts, paper revenue stamps has been a requirement that has been on our law books since time immemorial. Over the years, this provision has been, the requirement has been observed, oftentimes more in the breach than otherwise. And this requirement has also been a long-standing source of, perhaps I shouldn't say irritant, but it has been an issue that the private sector has raised from time to time.
It is a fallacy, Mr. Speaker, to say that ordinary citizens will not benefit from this bill. Like that, stamp duty does not come out of the pockets of the businessman. It is paid directly by the consumer. So to characterize this as a relief for the private sector is to demonstrate a profound misunderstanding of what stamp duty is and how it works. This initiative to remove stamp duty from retail transactions, like all the initiatives that we bring to this House, Mr. Speaker, is part of a wider development policy. We are concerned to increase the overall ease of doing business in Guyana, to stimulate trade and commerce, and to reduce the burden on firms and the consumers.
The National Assembly concluded debates and passed the amendment to the Juvenile Justice Act, which is expected to significantly reduce the backlog in cases of hefty expenses faced by the judiciary. The amendments will now see juveniles, for very specific cases, being charged jointly with adults.
We have made one amendment which has two subsections. Those two subsections say that a juvenile may be charged jointly with an adult for indictable matters that cannot be tried summarily. That is one part of the amendment. Another part of the amendment says that if that is done, the court may take all measures that is necessary or appropriate. The word that is used in the amendment is appropriate, to protect the rights of the juvenile contained in the Act.
Meanwhile, Minister of Human Services and Social Security Dr. Vindhya Prasad noted that there is no intention to remove or jeopardize the rights of juveniles in the furtherance of this law.